As soon as Rajiv Gandhi took over, then there was a generational gap. I mean, Rajiv was 40 and PV was already over 60.
Rajiv ji knew how important Narasimha Rao ji was for Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Narasimha Rao held HRD. Before that, he was External Affairs Minister. Then he held Home. He also held Defence portfolios. Big portfolios they were all.
Narasimha Rao was the old school, and therefore Rajiv Gandhi found it hard to get along with him.
The early times of Rajiv ji, he became the Prime Minister, and he was, technology savvy. He wanted to bring a lot of technology, new technologies into the country, and one of them was computer technology. But then he wasn't sure as to how the old guard would react to that. So one day, I believe, is what my father told me, that he was telling some visitor, and my father was sitting in the earshot distance. And he was telling that I want to bring in computers into the country, but my older generation people, I don't know how much they understand computers. So this in conversation, Narasimha Rao overheard. And that evening itself, he called me and he said, can you send one of the computers? You said you are in the computer, you want to get into this field. I said, yes. So a few days later, I sent that one piece, and then he wanted somebody to teach him. So I organized somebody from Delhi itself to go and spend time with him to give basic introduction to computers and how it should be operated and all that. Probably visited him a few times, maybe a week, 10 days later. He said, just get me the books, that's enough, I'll manage. And 6 months later, he was telling me, now I'm very proficient.
This man, he understands computers, and computers those days, were something out of the world. And he understood how it worked. And he used to practice programming. And if 10 people had a computer in India, the entire country in those days, Narasimha Rao was one. And probably Rajiv Gandhi was another.
Rajiv himself was a very assertive person. He was impatient with people who were slow. And people used to think 3 times before he opened his mouth. And as you said, temperamentally, he was not, unless you spoke to him, he didn't speak to you. He was very quiet. Rajiv thought that he was not tough enough.
He was in fact very keen to push him out. See, in fact, Rajiv Gandhi in my presence told Narasimha Rao, I don't think you can fight a Lok Sabha election. You please go home, and I will, at the appropriate time, he didn't even give a time factor, I'll bring you to Rajya Sabha. So Narasimha Rao, before going, looked very sad, because he was very weak also, just after an operation.
When the Congress party did not give him a ticket to contest the election, I remember very well, very late in the night. And he used to be a member of the parliamentary board. He was a member of the working committee and the election committee, where all the tickets were discussed and finalized. He was there in it, but he himself was not given the ticket. And one night he came back when it was very clear that he was not going to contest. He said, I have contested every election that was held in independent India till today. This is the first ever time I am not participating in election.
He thought, he would be offered Rajya Sabha seat, and but that was also not coming through. So when he decided to shift to Hyderabad, he was not sure as to how so many books could be transported back to Hyderabad. We collected a huge library, running to thousands and thousands of books.
He was personally supervising the packing of his library. He was not bothered about, the other rooms, how they are packed. Other rooms are, left to, many people or, the employees or anybody.
Whenever we went to Delhi, he would say, I want to take these books, I don't know how it should be taken. Is lorry better, or should we send it in, a train, or is airlifting better?
This man would squat on the floor and see if this book is packed all right. This is an old book. Be careful. This is a rare book. You won't get a copy of this. Keep it in this box, not on that box, not in that box. That kind. He would immerse himself in these.
Prarabdha Swami, who was in Delhi that time, he was there for almost 6 months persuading my father, asking him to come and take up that mutt. He was also getting old. Swamiji, he said, I don't know how long I will live, so I would be happy if you are declared as my successor. And since nothing was happening this side on the political front, and the offer from Swamiji was there, he was almost deciding, to take up that assignment.
When Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, the Congress Working Committee met and immediately passed a resolution inviting Sonia Gandhi to become president of the Congress Party. It was almost like a Pavlovian response of the party, asking the widow of an existing prime minister and president. But I think wisely she, at that time, said no. And then the party had to find somebody else. And they turned to, I guess, the senior most member of the Congress Working Committee, Mr. Narasimha Rao.
I never thought he'll come back as Prime Minister. That's what is called Prarabdha in Sanskrit, destiny.